I now, after doing more research, I always knew aiding Viscusi was behind plans to try to take my business, along with New York State Assemblyman Angelo Santa Barbara, who are the left hand and the right hand of corrupt Schenectady Mayor Gary McCarthy, partisan politics and deep state cabal. Well, I believe his little retribution is that he, got together with his cabal and they devised a plan to target me and at least 3 other conservatives, evangelicals, as well as conservative Orthodox Jews by trying to set us up with these honeypots. They honeypotted Joe Mastriani, the woman in the video he had just met a week earlier at a political campaign. His own party didn't support him. You got Anthony Constantine, or however you pronounce his name, out there that had the Trump sign, who his own party is threatening to assassinate him because he wants to run for office. And it's a big cabal. Now check this out. When you watch this video, you will see the connection to corrupt Mayor McCarthy, as well as his Fraternal Order of Police and these femme fatales that, in whatever number of years when they started out this organization, they raised like $12,000 in 5 years. What's that, like $50 a week?
And now we have a resolution in honor of the Fraternal Order of Police, and that will be presented by Mayor McCarthy.
Those of you that don't know Sergeant Foti, he guards the courts here, and I wanted to just start it off with a proclamation. Whereas Sergeant Christopher Foti of the New York State Courts, who has been supervising Schenectady Civil Courts in City Hall since 2007, and whereas this year's event featured teams from the New York State Courts, the Schenectady Police Department, the Rotterdam Police Department, the Colony Police Department, the Schenectady Fire Department, the Public Defender's Office, the DiLorenzo Law Firm, and the City Hall Trashers. These teams together helped raise a 5-year total of just under $12,000.
$12,000 in 5 years? What's that, like $50 a week? And now the Fraternal Order of Police of New York State is in charge of things of my very own. Oh, that gives them a weapon. They can weaponize this privatized child so-called protection agency to falsely accuse journalists, whistleblowers, or anyone the deep state doesn't like.
That was very, very nice. Let me just say, I just wanted to say thank you to the council for giving me the time here and letting the mayor. Absolutely, thank you. Secondly, I'd like to thank my wife and my kids that are sitting in the back there. Sch'dy, Rita, Rocco, Rose.
Fired worker says Niskayuna made her scapegoat for teacher's notorious speech. Written by Paul Nelson. This article is being read by an automated voice, generated by Everlit. Niskayuna, a woman recently fired after giving the go-ahead for a demonstration at the Town Hall Visibo where a local teacher critical of President Donald Trump admitted he touched former students, says the town is using her as a scapegoat. I was doing my job. I tried to do it correctly. I made a mistake. I was ready to take accountability for it, but it seems like I was the only one willing to do that, said Jean Foti, who until she was fired Monday served as the town's assistant coordinator of community programs. Foti gave Niskayuna High School social studies teacher Michael Dickerson clearance to hold a March 9th demonstration after, she said, she misunderstood a March 8th text message from Police Chief Jordan Koken that she believed implied the town's attorney signed off on allowing the rally. It remains unclear if that mistake is what cost Foti her job. She had been employed with the town since 2017. Town attorney Elena Finan on Wednesday said Foti was let go for violating town policy, though she wouldn't elaborate on the circumstances because the town considers the issue a personnel-related matter. Dickerson briefly enjoyed internet fame after a video surfaced of him encouraging U.S. Representative Paul Tonko, a Democrat from Amsterdam, to protest the actions of Trump, The clip was popular on social media and earned mention on Rachel Maddow's MSNBC newscast. Dickerson said he was put on leave from his teaching job and planned the March 9th rally. There, he told the crowd that in 2017, in what he said was a drunken stupor, he had touched former female students from Catholic Central High School, who were then adults without their consent. Dickerson resigned within days of the admission coming to light. The leadership of Niskayuna's Republican Party called on the Democratic leaders in Town Hall to denounce Dickerson. The town posted a statement on March 12th on Facebook saying the municipality had nothing to do with alleged disturbing statements made by an unnamed teacher and had reported the matter to law enforcement.
None of this would have been possible without your support, Mr. Mayor, as well, to benefit the Fraternal Order of Police, which we have Sergeant Phil Raza from the New York State Courts with us today. He is the Vice President of the Memorial Lodge number 35, as well as we have Rain Bonse here from Things of My Very Own, which was the local charity that would also benefit with the Fraternal Order of Police. I would just like to say and introduce them. Thank you guys for coming.
Well, since I've been up running the lodge upstate, we're a satellite lodge of the court officer lodge in Manhattan because we're so spread out. We can't really have our own lodge up here. We just don't have enough people and enough people to show up. But I'd like Rain to say something because she does a wonderful job.
My name is Rain Bonse. I'm CEO and founder of Things of My Very Own Incorporated. This past May, we found out our biggest funder eliminated the grant program and we lost our funding. The Fraternal Order of Police has been very good to us. Financially, it's been very difficult. Other larger nonprofit organizations have cut and or eliminated funding and we've picked up their clients.
I came up and we started to try to figure out a way to raise money.
I'd also like to thank the local sponsors that come out and help me. We're talking about the food and drinks. The important stuff. We have I Love New York, Joey, on Union Street. We have Homestyle Joey on Union Street.
The Squillia family are all tied in with the Upper Union Street BID, and they live right up here in Five Corners. Louis Squillia. Alicia Burns can tell you about them.
Good evening, David Long. This is Alicia Burns. I resigned from the Upper Union Street Business Improvement District, and for about 2 weeks now, and the police came to my apartment. You know where I live, 1740 apartment 2, Union Street. I got my insurance on that, the renter's insurance. I also have all the text messages you sent me. And Antonio Nelson was the chair of the board. Do not fuck with Joe Fazee. He is my friend and the chairman of the board. But feel free to Anthony. It's really Antonio Edinino. And it's Patrick Benoit. And it's Christopher DeCoco. And this is entrapment for your sober program and for your case of schenectady with Rosario. So you can run that back up to Harlem and South Philly, wherever you're from. What I would like to say is I'm still on the clock. I'm on 2 task force. You don't know where I work for. But I didn't get my paycheck. Because I never get a check because I'm a slave to the government, the United States Social Security Administration. So check your medical records. Check your actual documentation for your ghostwriters, Mauna Golub, and Neil Golub, and the Golub Corporation, and Luigi Squillia. Squill this. Aldo. And Como se dice, Department of Education, union, contract never fulfilled, CSCA.
So for the last year, the deep state has been targeting me for supporting Joe Mastriani and other candidates like Tony Simone, and they've been trying to set me up with honeypots. The guy who's in charge of the Schenectady County Emergency Management Department of Homeland Security was arrested and had to resign, and he ended up at the Schenectady County Jail under Sheriff D'Agostino. And Alicia Burns, the former executive director of the Upper Union Street Business Improvement District reported to him that there was sex trafficking happening at Upper Union Street at Chapali and Platters. The owners there also reported it. And instead of anything happening, they arrested Alicia Burns. Alicia, she likes to be called Alicia. And they threw her in a psych ward, and I spent a month and a half contacting Schenectady County Legislator Michelle Osterlich, Kathy Gatta, Richard Russo, that this lady was falsely arrested to keep her silent, and that they needed to release her. Through UAlbany's, program there, their supposed community safety program that, has all these students, these females, that work with the Albany County Jail, the Schenectady County Jail. Now come to find out, the Fraternal Order of Police, his best of buddies. I'm FOP in New Jersey, and I could tell you stories that would just turn your head about how the FOP covers up for corruption and works with the unified court system and corrupt judges like Jill A. Keene in Troy, and former corrupt judge Peter G. Crummy, and all these others, and Frank Granero, the vice president of the Fraternal Order of Police. Judge Jill A. Keene tried to hold a kangaroo court over me. I had filed a TRO, a temporary restraining order, with this my second Italian-German wife. My first one was from South America, Medellin, Colombia. My second wife was Italian and German descent. And I finally, as a man, went to the family court and filed a TRO, a temporary restraining order. Then everybody there was like, "Oh, are you serious? You're really being abused by a woman? Look at the size of you. You're 6'2". And I've had this problem ever since I left my first marriage, October 16, 2008, after glass was punched into my face. The family court system is a cash cow. They use men and children are pawns to have men pay, and works with the unified court system and corrupt judges like Jill A. Keene in Troy, and former corrupt judge Peter G. Crummy, and all these others, and Frank Granero, the vice president of the Fraternal Order of Police. Now, when you watch this video, you're going to see how crazy it is that these honeypots, they just keep coming out of the woodworks. And that's simply because I've supported, true conservative candidates like Tony Simone. According to Schenectady County legislators Eric Hess and Josh Cuomo, as well as state officials for the police unions, the Schenectady County Jail has become a free-for-all place where inmates are allowed to roam around and control the facility, shank other prisoners, sodomize other inmates, beat up law enforcement guards there at the Schenectady County Jail, and they can't lock them in their cell. So Schenectady County legislators Eric Hess and Josh Cuomo back in March asked for the HALT Act that Governor Cuomo signed to be repealed. They realized that that's probably not going to happen, so they want it to be amended.
Good evening, everyone. So the HALT Act went into effect March 31st of 2022. Since that time, the increase in violence in the county jail, and I can only speak to my county jail, it's Schenectady County Sheriff's Office, our incarcerated assaults are up 179%. Our assaults on staff are up 40%.
According to the most recent data that we have available, the Schenectady County Correctional Facility also has experienced individuals housed in the facility assaulting multiple others in order to be eventually moved to the housing unit of an intended target in order to carry on premeditated assault. Under the HALT Act, incarcerated individuals are not permitted to request to be placed in protective custody and are therefore susceptible to preventable violence.
In addition to Alicia Burns, who was the former executive director of the Upper Union Street BID, who resigned and then reported sex trafficking and other improprieties in the county, misuse of sales and tax funds, who was later thrown into a psych ward that I spent a month and a half contacting our county legislators to have her released. Another woman who had to come back to the area, who was working for the Obama Department of Justice, has come forward. I'm sitting here with a 41-year-old woman who has worked for the Department of Corrections. So tell me, you were working for the Department of Corrections,
Bureau of Prisons
Bureau of Prisons,
for the Department of Justice.
for the Department of Justice out in California,
California in 2010.
and you were trying to protect yourself and other female officers on the job from sexual harassment by inmates.
Sexual assault.
Sexual assault?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And what happened?
My boss refused to file the incident reports that I was passing to him. So I went above him and they refused to sign off on the incident reports as well.
Now, what I find is bizarre is at your facility, then you became a target, a political and deep state target, where they were allowing other inmates to target you. Tell me a little bit about that.
The incident started with 1 or 2 inmates, and then it started to be 5 inmates per range. And in maximum security, there was at least 10 ranges that I had to go down, and the officers were no longer assisting me on the ranges. I would be going down by myself. They'd leave trap doors open for the inmates to be able to open and reach out and grab me. My house was robbed, and I felt unsafe where I was, knowing that my neighbor across the street was the one that actually did it. I confronted him about it, and he admitted that he was basically hired by the administration to target me.
To target you. Now, this individual, this lieutenant, came to your house and pretty much told you you need to shut up and be silent?
He told me that I pissed them off royally, and I either needed to leave to make things easier on myself, or things could get worse.
Things could get worse. And you would wake up some mornings and you would find, you said, your lights on, your coffee pot running.
Yep. Doors open, the rear sliding door was open one evening.
So this was intimidation because you were a whistleblower.
Yes.
And at least a dozen other women came forward.
And they never recognized me as a whistleblower. I wasn't protected under the union. I had to move back to New York and take care of myself.
But it did turn into a class action lawsuit, correct?
It did turn into a class action.
And you guys did win that case.
We did win the case, yes.
Okay.
Under the Trump administration.
Once Trump came into office.
3 months into Trump's administration, it was signed off by General Barr.
There you go. There you go. Thank you for this time.
Thank you.
What's interesting is before I found out that this Rain Bonsi is actually an undercover cop who has worked for the New York State Department of Corrections, she was hanging out late night at our cigar lounge.
Hi there. Welcome to another segment of your local business showcase. This is our Schenectady local businesses to show you what they do in Schenectady County. RAIN has a very special business nonprofit to help children. And I'll let her tell you all about
Crazy
it.
person.
RAIN, thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me. Things of My Very Own is a nonprofit corporation. We formed approximately 5 years ago. Profits are able to provide in what children need.
And is this through social services that are referred?
We receive referrals from police departments, social service entities, CPS, DSS.
Corrupt organizations trying to frame journalists and whistleblowers.
So what background did you have in social services that led you to form this organization?
I started out working for the Department of Corrections High Risk Sex Offender Unit. And from there, I went to victim services and worked for a national nonprofit organization, starting out in victim services and then moving up to one of the executive directors.
She's always hanging around men, hugging on them. She's always giving me these booby hugs and kissing me and wanting to know more about me and how old I am. And she talks to me always, and she always, every time, acts crazy and tells me that politicians and people from Rotary International that are her donors of Things of My Very Own, which I now, after investigating, found out is controlled by the New York State Fraternal Order of Police, tells me that when she's at the cigar lounge, she continually says this story over and over, that she was sexually abused by politicians, that her donors, that they're the big money people, and that they will actually reach under her dress and sexually assault her and say to her, "Oh, I understand you were sexually abused as a child. Did you like it? Did you have an orgasm?" And I'm like, well, listen, I don't want to hear this stuff. What is up? That's crazy. Why would somebody think that because they're giving you money that they have the privilege to sexually assault you, and then you're taking the money? That's basically prostitution. When I told her this, Rain Banchi, however way you want to pronounce it, told me, "I don't have a problem with prostitution." Really? You're allowing politicians and people from Rotary and other big donors to give you money for Things of My Very Own, but you're here sitting telling me that they sexually assault you and you don't report them? You don't do anything about it? Now you understand how much of a honeypot she really is. On June 18th, 2025, she sat in the lounge hugging on me, telling me about she was squeezing out her boobs with her 5-year-old in the kiddie pool because she had this double padded bra on, and she's actually simulating squeezing each of her boobs, and she's saying it was so much water in her bra and they had to go put their cat down. But it was a really good day and a bad day. We had to put our cat down, but I went to the vet and they were all looking at me and they were seeing these wet spots, and she's circling her boobs. And I'm like, you're crazy. Why would you not change your shirt before going to the vet? And she does these things, and always, every time you see her, she's talking about people asking her about if she had an orgasm, being sexually abused, because she's out there thinking that she's going to entrap somebody. She's a honeypot. And in the fact that the New York State Fraternal Order of Police and all these cops and judges that I've reported are the people that are the head of her organization, Things of My Very Own, which is in Schenectady. So I started a father's rights group after I was realizing I was being persecuted by the deep state, called Pro Se Dads, teaching dads how to represent themselves in the family court. Oh, did they hate that, because that affects their cash cow. So back to this Judge Jill A. Keene, who was campaigned as a Roman Catholic Carmelite, graduated of Jesuit and Catholic institutions. Her brother went to American Catholic University, Matt Turner. He's in charge of assigning all the judges in the whole state of New York for the unified court system. Well, isn't that amazing that this Rain Bansi honeypot was showing up to our cigar lounge all the time? You know, she's been there late night. I'm talking even after midnight. A bunch of us guys hang out. She doesn't smoke cigars, but she's always there with her service dog. She acts crazy, but come to find out, she's worked for the Department of Corrections high-risk sexual offenders unit before she started this Things of My Very Own with this guy, Frank Granero, who lives in Staten Island but travels back and forth to Schenectady, bada bing, Staten Island, and he is the vice president of the New York State Fraternal Order of Police. Isn't that interesting? And it became a privatized so-called child protection agency run by the Fraternal Order of Police. They could use that and weaponize that to target parents, to target journalists, to target whistleblowers, and to take away their kids, and to lean on them, and to put the thumb on them, and do all these little mafia tactics. Nancy Pelosi is Central Intelligence Agency. So know that. A lot of these folks out of California, especially the Harvard grads, they all join the CIA, and they work in as politicians, they work as media. This is what the propaganda duo P2 is all about.
Infamous for its involvement in political intrigue, financial corruption, and criminal activities during the latter half of the 20th century. The Lodge, which was originally created as part of the wider Masonic tradition, evolved into a shadowy power network that infiltrated Italian politics, business, and even media. The P2 Lodge was founded in 1877 as a part of the Italian Grand Orient Freemasonry. Masonic lodges, including P2, were common in Europe and known for gathering intellectuals, politicians, and businessmen. It served as a lodge primarily for aristocrats and politicians who wanted to maintain a low profile in their Masonic activities. In the 1960s, the P2 Lodge began its transformation into a more secretive and politically active organization under the leadership of Licio Gelli. Gelli, an enigmatic figure with ties to fascist regimes during World War II, took control of the lodge in 1966 and used it as a tool to further his personal ambitions and political agenda. Licio Gelli had a controversial past, including working as a liaison for Mussolini's regime, and later cultivating ties with right-wing governments across Europe and South America. His charisma and political connections allowed him to shape the lodge into a vehicle for covert operations. Under Gelli's leadership, P2's membership swelled, reaching over 900 influential members. These included senior politicians, military officers, intelligence officials, bankers, businessmen, and journalists. Gelli carefully selected individuals who could wield power and serve as part of a clandestine network capable of influencing public affairs from behind the scenes. Its members sought to maintain control over key state institutions, such as the military, law enforcement, and the media, to steer political decisions and protect their financial interests.
And this guy, Michael Morrell, here with John O'Brien and Obama, runs Beacon Global Strategies, a CIA off-the-books hit squad that works with Hillary Clinton. And I believe Anthony Bourdain from CNN, Parts Unknown, was assassinated because he exposed Harvey Weinstein, he exposed Hillary Clinton, he publicly disgraced Bill and Hillary Clinton. He was hanging out with Clinton when she was Secretary of State. He did all these CNN shows in Iran and in Libya and you name it. And they were just spoof shows for the CIA. And he had a lot of secrets that he took to the grave with him. And I believe that he was assassinated.
Why they're not prosecuting them? They're very powerful people.
Yeah. So, well, a word you used might explain it. You use the word compromise. And that's having, compromising information about a public official. And so who was collecting this as compromise?
Oh, Epstein was. He was absolutely collecting it.
Just Epstein? Or do we think there was someone behind Epstein?
Oh, you think Mossad? Is that what you're thinking? I know that he was helping the CIA. I remember seeing that in some of the data, in some of the documents that he had offered some information to CIA. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was factored into his sweetheart deal. He did travel a lot. He was friends with Ehud Barak. He was constantly, he was constantly among powerful people. He picked up things and he passed it along, and that was a factor in his sweetheart deal. The people he spent time with certainly had those contacts. He knew people at the highest levels of many governments.
Now, I got to tell you, there was this, the whole birth certificate controversy with Barack Obama. This judge, David I. Schmidt, a New York State Supreme Court justice, New York State's first Orthodox Jewish Supreme Court justice, filed a temporary restraining order against Governor David Patterson, against Assemblyman Jim Tedisco, who is supposed to be a conservative Republican, against Attorney General Andrew Mark Cuomo, you name it, all these other politicians who were supporting Barack Obama's election, but many conservative evangelicals and Republicans were still asking for the birth certificate. So the New York State CABAL used the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, which is not allowed to operate on domestic soil, to pose as New York City police officers. They are the John Does in this TRO. Central Intelligence Agency, Barack Obama, Business International Dummy Company, off the books CIA, posing as New York City police officers, as well as, the NSA spy surveillance. We know now the NSA was spying on its allies like Germany and other countries. But of course, there's been domestic surveillance, illegal surveillance here in the United States. And that was the Snowden case. But that was way after. But back to this guy, Judge David I. Schmidt. So he goes and he files this TRO. And they file all their exhibits. And he puts a temporary restraining order against the FBI, the NSA, the CIA, and all these folks and all these politicians working to support Barack Obama. So after this judge files this temporary restraining order against all these covert operatives, suddenly this woman is placed in his office in Kings County to be a so-called secretary, and she's a honeypot. And the two of them get into talking about sexual things, and the next thing she's reporting that he's sexually harassing her, and he's removed from the bench. But then he goes and he helps his niece win election in Kings County as a judge, and shortly after mysteriously dies of a heart attack. This Lily Morgan showed up around the corner from my house. She's from Troy. She said that she was in charge of the Capital Roots, the Service Employees International Union, which represents 1.9 million workers in over 100 occupations in the U.S. and Canada, is focused on organizing workers in three sections: healthcare, including hospitals, home care, nursing home workers, public services, and property services. And this Lily Morgan left the Capital Roots, which is supposed to be all about these community gardens, in July 2022, and then the union filed a lawsuit against her organization in August 2022. So let's see where Lily Morgan really works and worked. Lily Morgan was working for the Schenectady County Jail in the Community Public Service Program, which deals with rape and accusations of rape and date rape and all these other things. And her colleagues were working at the Albany County Jail. So Lily Morgan, who just blurted out that she wants to go to Italy, and I didn't mention anything about Italy, and lied to me about being part of Slow Food International and Slow Food USA, came all the way from Troy to Schenectady, New York, and then lied about being in charge of all the Capital Roots gardens. Who now, this judge made a decision that they can no longer harass and covertly put surveillance on and stalk and electronically surveil the people that work for them. So it's amazing how these folks are tied into the Albany County Jail, the Schenectady County Jail, this crisis rape center, which, again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't investigate rape, but when you have somebody showing up out of the blue like this Lily Morgan, and then she's wanting to, contact me when I'm telling her instead to have her male person who handles public relations and marketing contact me, there's something very suspicious about that. And, of course, I've exposed Mayor McCarthy, who is good friends with all these Fraternal Order of Police.
Well, it is Sunday morning. Welcome to Capital Region Sunday. I am Richie Phillips, and I've never been more concerned about things of my very own than this morning. Now, I know you're going to listen to that and say, boy, that's a selfish thing to say. It'll explain itself very, very well as I welcome this morning Board President of Things of My Very Own, Frank Graniero. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Richie. Thank you for having me this morning.
How did you get involved first? Do you have a history of any type of abuse in your family, or what?
No, I do not. I belong to an organization which we do a charity softball tournament up in Schenectady every year.
I'd like to welcome you on Saturday, August 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. down to Central Park, the Snowden Avenue Fields, number 1 and 2, for the 8th annual FOP 8 Charity Softball Tournament, hosted by the City of Schenectady and my good friend, Mayor Gary McCarthy. It's going to feature teams from Schenectady Police Department, Colony Police Department, the New York State Courts, the Schenectady Fire Department, Schenectady City Hall Treasurers. We're going to have the Schenectady County Public Defender's Office, Niskayuna, Scotia, Glenville Police Department. They like to call themselves the Triple Threat. And featuring a new team, the Department of Homeland Security.
The guy who's in charge of the Schenectady County Emergency Management Department of Homeland Security was arrested and had to resign, and he ended up at the Schenectady County Jail under Sheriff D'Agostino. And Alicia Burns, the former executive director of the Upper Union Street Business Improvement District, reported to him that there was sex trafficking happening at Upper Union Street at Chapali and Platters. The owners there also reported it. And instead of anything happening, they arrested Alicia Burns. Alicia, she likes to be called Alicia. And they threw her in a psych ward, and I spent a month and a half contacting Schenectady County Legislator Michelle Osterlich, Kathy Gatta, Richard Russo, that this lady was falsely arrested to keep her silent, and that they needed to release her. They destroyed her entire life. When she got out of the psych ward, she came back to her Union Street apartment, and her car was completely totaled. She ended up losing the apartment and having to move back home with her dad, and still trying to get her life back together. She finally, after a leave, went back to work for the Department of Homeland Security and the other task force that she's on. And now the Fraternal Order of Police of New York State is in charge of Things of My Very Own. Well, that gives them a weapon. They can weaponize this privatized child so-called protection agency to falsely accuse journalists, whistleblowers, or anyone the deep state doesn't like.